So last year, me and my friend Matthew, Phenom Sage on YouTube, we participated in something called Fantasy Critic. It's essentially fantasy football, but for video games. If your game scores big, you score big. If it gets poor reviews, then yeah, it's not going to be a good day for you. Essentially, all of the data comes from Open Critic. It takes all of the reviews that are posted on Open Critic, which is a big video game review aggregator, takes all of those reviews, and the higher it scores there, the more points you're going to get in return. There is a draft at the beginning of the year. You pick your games, and then you can also have later pickups throughout the year as well. There's also counter picking as well, which gets a little interesting and a little scary at the same time. Essentially, it's a really, really good time. It's a lot of fun, and we did it throughout all of 2020, and we're doing it again in 2021. The only difference is I'm making you a part of it, if you want to be, of course. The league is public. You can look at the games that we've drafted. You can look at the games that we're going to be picking up throughout the year, and you can also, maybe make some suggestions here and there, pop in Twitter and stuff like that. But I also streamed this entire thing this time. Last time it was just me and him hanging out, having a good time. This time it's a little bigger. It feels like there's some more stakes added. We haven't decided on stakes yet, but they're going to be there. So I kind of wanted just to run down the list of the games that we have picked. Now, I streamed this maybe about a week ago at the time of recording this, 4 or 5 days, give or take, and I just wanted to go through that list, sort of gauge how we are right now and how it's going to be throughout the year, some of the strategies that I have, some of the strategies that I think he has, and who knows, maybe this is going to be an interesting video. I don't really know. I'm kind of passionate about this thing. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I kind of want to share that with you guys. I want you guys to be sort of a part of that as well. So if you want to be, continue watching. Let's go through this list. Let's go through our 2021 draft. So here I'm going to run down real quickly the previous year's season. I won this season. I'm not boasting, just pointing it out. I won this season, but I want to show you how. I want to sort of let you guys understand on how we're scoring and how we gain points and sort of what the strategy is. I am Lonely Hearts Club Games. There's Fumi there. Here's Phenom, my good friend Matthew, with Phenomenal Publishing. My first round pick, the first game that I got to go first this year, was of course The Last of Us Part 2. And this sort of solidified the tone of the season, I should say, for me there. That game got a 93 on Open Critic. Again, Open Critic is a review aggregator. Think of it sort of like Rotten Tomatoes. It's a collection, it's a multitude of reviews that are put together on this website, and it's a percentage of how many people thought the game was great. So it scored a 93. It's one of the best review games of the year. It's the most awarded game of all time, blah, 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 blah. I picked that game. I got 25 points. So how did I get those points? So how this game works is every single review score that is above a 70, you get a point for. So if it's 71, you're going to get 1 point. 75, you're going to get 5 points, and so on. When we start getting into the big boy territory, like 90, you're going to get double points. So 93, hence why I scored 25. That was a big, big win for me. When the game does not release, like Eastward here, or Halo Infinite, unfortunately, you get 0 points. That's bad. You don't want that. You just wasted a spot. You do have the ability to drop one single game. We sort of changed the rules a little bit for this next season. The website itself sort of changed the rules in terms of dropping, and I will go over that shortly. Ori scored a 90. I got 21. Big, big get there. Sakuna, but not bad. 80s are not bad. You want to just try to get decent games. Like this here isn't good. Call of Duty Cold War, why did that game score so low? What happened? I don't really know. There's problems with that game. I did not get very many points for that. A 90, of course, to Animal Crossing. I just got lucky with my picks. Half-Life Alyx here. Did not predict that game not Spiritfarer. Oops. Half-Life Alyx here did not predict that being one of the best review games of the year. I looked into it, I studied these games, and I definitely heard a lot of people in terms of like previews and things like that speaking very highly of the game. That showed, and that was sort of my sleeper hit right there. Tony Hawk scored extremely well. I also got Demon Souls, which caused a lot of drama there. Miles Morales, and so on and so on. You can see sort of the points I got. You can see a lot of did not releases as well, a lot of 0 points there. I eventually scored 248, and Phenom Sage here, Matthew, scored 167. So again, I'm not going to go over the entire season, but you can sort of see here what went wrong. Like, obviously, Cyberpunk 2077, everyone thought that that game was going to at least get an 85, at least maybe even a 90. Everyone was predicting that game was going to score really well. You can't predict everything, though. A 76, ouch. Even after launch, even after all the drama, I still wouldn't have predicted a score that low. That's really bad and really sad. Ugh. Really bad. And I feel bad for Phenom Sage because I don't want to say he had faith in the game, but he had faith in Critic scoring the game really well. He got Final Fantasy VII Remake. That scored pretty well. Doom Eternal did pretty good. He got 19 points for that. Resident Evil 3, not as good as he thought it was going to be because Resident Evil 2 Remake got a 90. This isn't exactly that. SpongeBob, not very good. See, it's 70 points. He got 0 points. If it was 71, he would have gotten 1 point. So that's really bad. Baldur's Gate 3 did not release. There is a review, but it's early access rules. It doesn't really count. Some games in here just didn't really score very well, and he didn't get a lot of pickups towards the mid-season of the year. You want to get those 8 out of 10s. You even sometimes want those 7 out of 10s. You can't always reach for the stars. I eventually outtook him this season. There was some drama for sure, but I scored 247. He scored 166. So there's a pretty big gap there, pretty big margin there. There's also a budget as well, and we'll get onto that. So we're going to jump to the 2021 season. Now, again, I streamed this recently. I'm going to put the link to that stream down in the description below if you want to check that out, if you want to be a part of it and see how the process was. These are the upcoming games. We're just going to jump right into Lonely Hearts Club games. These are my picks so far. As you can see, I have a lot more space. I have 28 spaces, actually. And the original draft was only 12 games. So you pick 12 games and then you draft games, pick up games throughout the season using your budget. I've already used a little bit of that budget. So has he. We use that budget throughout the year and you make bids. I'll sort of show how that works. There's a bid here. Let's look at Baldur's Gate 3. We'll go Baldur's Gate 3 right here. Select, and I can make a bid. I can select the amount I want to bid on it. If he also wants Baldur's Gate 3, he's going to also have to make a bid, and he will have to outbid me for that game. So if I bid $5, he'll have to bid $6, and he will win the game. And basically the bids go live on Saturday. So by Saturday, if I don't raise a higher bid, I'm doomed. I do not get Baldur's Gate 3. Not that I want it, but I don't get Baldur's Gate 3. There is sort of a strategy there. You know, you want it when games are announced. Say Nintendo Direct just pops out of nowhere. Nintendo announces Metroid Prime 4 coming out this year. Obviously, I would drop $10, $15 on a Metroid. I really would. So there's some sneaky stuff there. So we're going to go over our standings here. One of the first games I picked was it is the first game I picked, Resident Evil Village. I think that game is going to do very, very well. I played the maiden demo. Oh my goodness, one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life. I think the game is going to be indicative of that demo. I think it's going to continue that trend, and from what we've seen from the trailers, from what we've seen from the devs talking about this game, it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be one of the better review games of the year. Again, this isn't just about passion. This isn't just about how I feel towards a game or how Matthew feels towards a game. It's sort of what you think reviewers, how they're going to feel about the game. That's what you're trying to do here. There's some games in here that I'm not necessarily looking forward to, like Call of Duty 2021. It doesn't even have a title yet. It's a guaranteed game. It's going to happen this year. I don't really care about this game. That's nothing bad against Call of Duty, I don't really care. But that game is going to get probably an 8 out of 10. It's probably going to get me about 10 points. That's a safe bet. You want to make those safe bets. Back 4 Blood looks pretty good. Maybe you'll get an 84. I will get some points for that. That's 14 points. That's not bad. So yeah, that's sort of how the game is played. You want to take risk, obviously, on the big boy games like Resident Evil Village. I think it's going to review pretty well. I don't think we're going to run into too many issues a la Cyberpunk 2077, but again, I think I'm safe with that choice. Or you could go super risky. Now we're looking at Matthew here, Phenom Sage, his publishing, his team here, And his first pick was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. That's not even, we don't even know if the game's going to be called that. That was his first round pick. How deadly is that? How scary is that? You don't know if that game is coming out. Now, you can drop a game if it does not release. If Nintendo announces tomorrow that, hey, this game is not going to come out this year, we're going to push it to 2022, sorry guys. He can drop that game, but he can only drop it once. You can only drop one game. So he might be in trouble when also Final Fantasy 16 doesn't come out this year, or God of War Ragnarok doesn't come out, or Last of Us Factions 2. So, as you can see, or even Horizon, that's got a high chance of being postponed this year. Who knows? He definitely took some risk here for sure. Neo, The World Ends With You, the World Ends With You sequel, I thought that was a phenomenal pick. It's guaranteed to come out. I really do. They announced a summer release date. They seem pretty hard on that. I think that it is going to come out this year. I don't think it's going to review incredibly well. I think it'll get probably an 85. That's 15 points. That's what you want. Eastward's not coming out. Sorry. That's just not going to happen. 3D World Bowser's Fury. We allowed expansions or director's cuts. That was one of our rule sets. That's considered a director's cut. A Persona 5 Royal, that would have been considered a director's cut. So we're able to put those kinds of games in here. I'm not sure how I feel about that rule. But it is there, as is Nier Replicant. I think those games are going to review okay. I think they're going to do pretty good. I think Nier's got a chance of getting real high, to be honest with you. Bravely Default 2, real good pick. That's a solid 82 if I've ever seen one. There's some good picks here. I think he did really, really good. I actually think he did better than me, to be honest with you. I definitely took a little more risk with games like Little Nightmares 2, Deathloop, Hollow Knight Silksong. Does that exist? 12 minutes, Guilty Gear Strive. I don't know how critics are going to take Guilty Gear Strive. I sort of play with my heart this year with picking these games. Weird West, Wolfeye's next game. Or Wolfeye's first game, I believe. That's going to be a tough bet. But, I've also got Returnal here. I think that's going to be a solid 84. Halo Infinite, I think that's going to be a solid 85. So let me tell you my strategy, actually, with Halo Infinite. So let me tell you about counterpicking. So counterpicking is essentially games that he doesn't believe in. So I picked these games here. He picked these games here. He picked Eastward, God of War Ragnarok, Bravely Default 2, and Neo. I have to counterpick those games. I have to counterpick 4 of them. These are the rule set that we have because it's just me and him, and we have so many games, so we decided to pick 4. It makes the game a little more interesting. I counterpicked Eastward because I don't think it's coming out this year. I think that game is canned. I don't think it's going to happen. So I counterpicked it. So if it doesn't come out, he gets 0 points, I get 0 points. But the fact that I did counterpick it means he won't be able to drop that game if they do announce it's coming out in 2022. So he's doomed. That game, he's locked in. Same with God of War. He is locked into God of War. If that game does come out and scores really, really well, I will be hurt by it. I will lose points. I will be negative. That's really bad. That's really, really bad. Bravely Default 2, I don't think it's going to review incredibly well, so I decided to take a risk on. That's the thing. I don't want to pick Final Fantasy 16. I really should have picked Final Fantasy or Breath of the Wild. I should have took chances on that. I was a little scared because if those games come out, they're going to review very, very well, and I will be hurt. I'm going to suffer for that. Let's take a look at the games that he counterpicked out of my list. Little Nightmares 2, he doesn't have faith in it. He doesn't think that game looks very good. The first one didn't review incredibly well. I definitely understand why he picked it. I think he's going to regret it. I think that game is going to review incredibly well. So he's going to lose some points there. 12 minutes, it's an Oscar bait game, right? It's got James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, Willem Dafoe. It's gonna review well. Weird West, that's a weird pick on my part. I don't have much to say about Weird West. And also It Takes Two. So I can't drop any of these games. If Joseph Ferris pops up on Twitter tomorrow and says It Takes Two is gonna be delayed till 2022, I will not be able to drop that game because he counterpicked it. So he's locked in, he gets 0 points, I get 0 points, but that means I lose a game on my board and I lose the chance to recoup those points. So that's sort of the strategy there. And that was my strategy with Halo Infinite. I was originally planning on putting Halo Infinite in my draft, my first 12 games, but then he would be able to swoop in and counterpick it, and then I would be locked in. I would not be able to drop that game. And that's deadly because that game's not coming out till fall. It could easily get, I don't think it is, but it could easily get pushed back to spring in 2022. So I didn't want to pick it in my draft because you have to counterpick the games that are in your first 12-game draft. I picked that up literally the night after. I think I spent $1 on it. I bid on it, I got it the next Saturday. It's mine now, and he can't counterpick it. So now if that game does get delayed, I can drop it, and I'll have no problem. I will be able to recoup that game. I will be able to pick another game in its place. And that's sort of what's really important here, is you have to be smart about the games you pick. I think Halo Infinite is going to be a very successful game. I think it's going to do really, really well. He does not. So it is kind of an interesting play there. I think there's a lot of different strategies going throughout the year. So throughout the year, we have chances to make more bids. We have more pickups to make. We have a huge list of games to still choose from, games that aren't even announced. Is Elden Ring coming out this year? Is someone going to bid on that? You could take the risk. Hey, maybe we get an E3 trailer. Maybe, I don't know. Starfield, is that coming out? We don't know. We don't know what Nintendo's doing. We don't know if there's some weird Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remake thing coming up. But when they announce it, there's going to be sort of, I don't know if Pokemon is going to cause a bidding war. I don't know how excited me or him are for a new Pokemon game. Those don't tend to review extremely well. But that's sort of how the game is played throughout the year, is you can pick up games throughout the entire year and spend your money on it, on, you know, how much you believe in the game. Do you want to spend $10 on Metroid Prime 4? Or maybe an F-Zero gets announced next week. I will drop some money on that because I'm confident that that could be a really good game. Again, if you want to be a part of this, you can take a look at the league down below in the description. It'll be there. It's a public league. You can look at it. You can look at last year. I highly recommend you play as well. If you have a group of friends that love video games, that know this industry, that read reviews all the time, watch reviews all the time, play this game. It is super, super fun to sort of predict on what games are going to score well. There's a lot at stake. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of put your heart and faith into those games. Even like Returnal, I'm not super interested in that game. I'm not super excited. But now I kind of am. Like, now I'm really rooting for that game to do well. It's gambling. Like, it really is. There's no actual real money involved or anything like that. I mean, I guess there could be, but we decided not to do anything like that. But we definitely, you know, put our hearts into this. Like, now, you know, Phenom, Matthew, he's really riding on Breath of the Wild 2 coming out this year. He's really hoping that it will come out this year. And I'm kind of there with them. Like, I kind of want to see that game happen as well, of course, because I want to play it, but also it would just make this game extremely interesting. There's lots of twists and turns. We live in a crazy time. The pandemic is still going, so games could be delayed like nobody's business. Who knows what's going to happen this year? Halo Infinite could easily get delayed into 2022. Who knows what's going to happen? That's what makes it sort of exciting. So if you're interested in video games and if you follow the industry, I highly recommend you play this game as well. It's a good time to start. We're in February now, but not too many big games have come out, so you can definitely still jump on board and, you know, take advantage of the bigger releases that are happening throughout the year. Resident Evil 8, I think it's a really good pick. I highly recommend it. It's a really good first round pick. So again, if you want to play, the website will be down there in the description, as well as my public league. You can see the games that we pick. I will be posting updates on Twitter. You can follow me down there as well. And also, if you want to watch the entire stream that me and him did, it was a blast. We had a good time. We spent about an hour and a half just debating and going on and on about what games we're going to counterpick, what games we're going to draft. It was a really good time. One of the best streams I've ever had, to be honest with you. If you want to watch that, that'll be down in the description below. Again, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more updates on this league, let me know. I will, you know, we'll probably end up doing like at least a half year sort of thing, but if you want stuff that's a little more frequent, a little more talk on the games that I'm planning on picking up throughout the year, let me know. Definitely, I'm curious if this is viable content. I don't know. I want to have a good time, though. I definitely want to enjoy this game and sort of milk it for all it's worth, because it's become this tradition now. I want it to be a tradition. You know, I want it to happen every year, and as long as there's video games, the game will exist. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, party on.